Tom's good to break. You could talk to Carl one.
Okay,
Okay, so let's talk about the story, right? So we just want to understand the story, right? So you have a little girl. She's Israelite, right? She was taken from the northern kingdom, which is called Israel, by a band of raiders. They're Aramean or Syrian, right? From the north, because it always comes from the north in the Bible, if you notice. So, and she speaks up, right? She's got a speaking part. So she says to her mistress, she speaks to the mistress, right? Now, how does Naaman know? Well, she must have, right? I mean, it doesn't say, but she must have spoke to Naaman. Hey, I have this servant girl, and she talks about this Elisha guy. Like, there's a guy down in Israel, and he can cure you, right? So who knows if she tells the full story? But maybe she says, bring lots of gifts. Who knows? And Naaman, what does he do? He goes up the next level, right? To ask his boss, the king. And the text tells us he's exalted by this guy, and clearly he is, right? He's like, by all means, absolutely, go. And I don't know if he gave him like all the gold and the clothes. I mean, they must have been pretty fancy, right? You got $3 million worth of gold and 10 changes of clothing. Like, it must have been great clothing. Who knows?
Well, the thing is, it probably was purple, because the purple was very expensive at the time.
It certainly was.
Because it came from a
mollusk.
Yeah, mollusk on the sea.
Yeah.
So that probably was part of the 10 clothes.
Yeah,
With all the money.
It's funny you say that, because I'm an engineer by training, and a chemical engineer.
Right.
And I studied that as part of some research I did on, like, they described the process of processing the mollusk to get the, right? It's like written out by, I don't remember who the guy was, but anyway. Yeah, it was really interesting, right? These processes are processes. Chemistry was chemistry, right? But, so King says, I'm gonna write a letter. But he didn't have the full story, right? Because who did he write the letter? Did he write a letter to Elisha?
No, he wrote it.
He said, no, a king talks to a king. I'm not gonna lower myself to talk to this. So he sends him a letter. And if you read about Elisha, he seems to always, he's a man of God, that's how he's described. He seems to always know what's going on.
Right.
So he sees this king is like, oh, it's a pretext for a war. I'm gonna come and I'm gonna take more servant girls, I'm gonna take what I want. So he's like in despair, like he tears his clothing because that's the sign of grief and I don't know what to do. And Elisha hears, so he says, no, so he goes to the king. Elisha goes to the king and says, send him to me, so that he would know there's a God in Israel. Now you could take that two ways, right? It doesn't really, you don't get notes on, did he mean, so he knows there's a God in Israel, or does he like, so that he'll know there's a God in Israel? Like it doesn't say, I don't know. It's something to kind of ponder as you ponder the whole story. I'm still thinking about that, actually. What does he mean? But it's okay, so the king says, I'm sure he's like, thank goodness I get out of my court. So Naaman, Naaman, he went up here, and then he goes down to Elisha's house. Now remember, he was like commander of the army. That's how he's first described, right? Sar Sava, commander of the army, a great man, exalted. I'm sure he had a really nice house. I don't think Elisha had like such a great, like a palace. He sure did. Oh, right? Just a small, modest place. And he goes and remember the little girl said, if only my master was before the prophet. That's actually submissive to. Right? And this is a proud man, clearly. And because he's standing in front of the door, he's got all these horses and chariots and all this money and all this stuff, and Elisha won't even come to the door.
I have visions of Patton for some reason.
So I picture kind of blowhard, kind of like successful blowhard.
Yep.
And a hard man, clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a hard man. These are hard times. So he goes to Elisha, and Elisha won't even come see him. And he's like, he sends this guy out. No, he'll talk to Naaman. Right? He'll talk to Naaman. And he says, what's he say? What does he tell him to do?
He says to dip himself in the river Jordan 7 times.
I'll make sure this is
That's what it says, I believe, 7 times.
This is what it says, 7 times, so.
Yep.
So there's a river, Jordan. Oh, that's not a very good river, is it?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's try this one.
It works.
There's a river, yeah, it works good, it works. Yeah, that's really good.
Don't worry about it, we can see it.
We can see it.
Okay, so there's a river, here's the Jordan River, right? He says, go dip yourself in 7 times. And 7 is a number that appears a lot in scripture.
Right.
It's a number of completion, a number of perfection, the number of fullness, right?
Just like 12 appears all over the place.
12 is a government, a complete government, right? 12 tribes of Israel, and all those things, right? And multiples of multiples are like, and 10 is an important number. Anyway, so it's 7 times. Okay. So
And he was
he
saying, why that
says
way?
basically, screw this guy and screw Israel, right?
Right.
If I could just translate it, he says, this place is a dump. Isn't the waters in Israel, aren't they far better in Damascus? I think it is Damascus, right? In Damascus, we have great palaces and rivers, and it's beautiful. Here, like the Jordan River is it's not like some great cascading filled with rapids, right? This is kind of a muddy, dirty little river. No way. So he's gonna who knows what he's gonna do. I think he might have gone back to the king and said, "You know, thanks a lot." So, but then here's servants again. So he had a little girl, his servants. They say, and you can imagine, this is, okay, it's Patton. I like that, you said that. Patton, did Patton like it when soldiers were like soft?